Since 1988, London Masterclasses has welcomed to the city some of the world's finest performers and teachers to share their knowledge with young artists invited to attend from all over the world, artists on the threshold of their careers in music. Each course is open to a select group of students of violin, cello, piano, voice, and conducting. The students often snatch a few moments' quiet practice between the highly intensive classes, during which they work one-to-one with leading figures in their respective fields.
What I think music does is it asks us to put ourselves on the line all the time, at every moment. It's never just about playing an instrument or getting an orchestra to play together. It's not about that. The composers were never interested in that. They assumed you would do that. That's like when you get married, they assume you put on a tie and a clean shirt. But the most important thing is to marry the right person, not the clean shirt and the tie. Right? You got it? So, by all means, please, make the orchestra play together, have them be in tune. All of that is great. Nice clean shirt. But the main thing is, what is your relationship to that music? And how do you bring it into the world? That's what's crucial. I've got a conductor, two pianos, trying to pretend that they're actually an orchestra. And I began the class by saying, you cannot teach conducting. I want you to be absolutely clear. I believe you cannot teach conducting. And so what we're doing is sort of working around it. It looks a little chaotic, I think, but it's very exciting. In conducting, the most important thing is to have an absolutely clear idea of what the music is saying. And I trust that if the brain is absolutely clear, the hands will follow. It's a mysterious process, and of course everybody conducts in a different way. The hands do different things. We all do the same basic shape. That's 1, that's 2, that's 3, that's 4. That's the end. That's the only thing we have in common. After that, how we do it, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3, 4. Completely different people, completely different music comes out. It's fascinating. This is wonderful. This is exactly right. You've got a great feeling for this. I want to talk to you about rubato. Right. Because what you're doing is almost exactly metronomic, and it's fine what you're doing. It's very nice, it's very musical, and you feel it very deeply, but just do it again and we'll hear what I'm talking about. We'll hear the metronomic quality of it. Music is the most powerful and precise language for the human emotions that has ever been devised. Our job is to be the masters of that language. All that entails. That means learning the vocabulary, learning how it works, the difference between a 4-bar phrase in which every bar is made equal and the 4-bar phrase where the shapes are brought out. That has to be learned and studied and understood and wrestled with and worked with. And sometimes we spend 20 minutes on one phrase to understand how it's put together. All right, that's beautiful, but Tchaikovsky is about something else. Now let me tell you about rubato. Rubato is one of the most fascinating and elusive things in music. Rubato means literally to steal or stolen. It means stealing time. Rubato in our world, in our music, works this way. There's a tempo, and if there's something special that happens in the music, some harmony, some beauty, some surprise, something gorgeous that you want to dwell over, you take time. And it's like stretching a piece of elastic, and when you've stretched it and you let go, the elastic goes back into tempo. Do you understand? So there's masses of opportunities for that here. Now, I want you to do it again and see whether you can find the freedom which is in the music. Don't think you have to invent this. This is stuff that's in there, you just have to find it. And I find myself saying to players in orchestras often, find the freedom, find the freedom, find the freedom. It's in there. So now you find the freedom. There's lots of freedom there right from the start. Look, right, you got the introduction to that, and then dim pam, pi pa pa wa, ta di ra, ta, I love you free, ta di ra, da di ra. There was one young man who was conducting, and I said, I suspect you don't have anybody at home to love. He looked at me like that, as if to say, oh, but how did you know that? And anyway, what business is of yours? Well, the answer is it is my business, because if he's going to express which sounds just like music, but actually is saying, I love you, don't leave me. And he's trying to convey that to the players in the orchestra. How's he going to do it if he doesn't have somebody to love? So it's very relevant. Now, what that is, that's the pulling on the heartstrings of the little old ladies in the audience. Because they've been there. They used to be in love, and he left, and he never came back. And you do that, and they cry. That's how it works. But if you don't do that, they'll say, young man, he doesn't understand. But you do that, and everybody will feel it pulling. That rubato pulls directly on the heartstrings of the listeners. Isn't that great? You have complete power over the feelings of everybody in your audience. Incidentally, on the feelings of the players. And the players do it to the audience. All right, we got it? Here we go. And these are your two, you're manipulating these two. You know what would actually help you is to say, I love you. Because if you say, I love you, you've got the actual shape of it. And then, don't leave me. Try that. Don't leave me. My teacher used to say, you can't play great music until your heart has been broken. So I say, let's have some more broken hearts, you know? And then we can get on with this business of expressing music and giving it to people, because when we do express it powerfully and beautifully, the people who listen, whose hearts have been broken, have their hearts mended and transcended by the experience of hearing great music, because that's what great art does. It lifts us out of the personal and the immediate into the universal expressions of humanity. And that's a very, very rich experience, and it's a sacred task to be able to do that. She got it. Look, this girl, she was completely touched by you.
The whole course of the week has been about losing any sense of inhibition, and almost like being a child when you have to be a child up there, and just like being an actor, being a dancer when you have to be a dancer. And it's difficult, and you, in a way, have to lose any sense that people are watching you, but it's so stimulating musically once you actually do lose yourself and really try and enact what the music is trying to represent.
His approach is that the music really is the food that you live off. And if you can take that food on board and make that part of you, then you're really you can just carry on forever. You don't need to do anything else. You just need to do music. It's quite amazing.
Chris, it's absolutely beautiful what you did. It was absolutely individual, your own way, lovely. The only thing I would say to you maybe is you look a little as though you're saying to yourself, well, I love her and she might come to me, but if she does, I'm not sure I want her. It has that, you know, it's a little bit as though you're holding it at arm's length, as if it's not really for you. So just think about that if it is, this is a moment when nothing is held back. Do you do that, actually, when you're in a relationship? Do you find yourself a little assessing?
I don't know.
You don't know. Worth finding out. We have to get at what the Germans call the affect, the effect of the emotional content of the music, and bring that out, and not only understand it, but also have the ability with our hands and our bodies and our eyes and our whole being to express it, so that the players say, oh, I see what that's about. It's about joy, it's about triumph, it's about gloom, it's about terror, whatever it is. And then they put it into their instruments. And then the audience, which is all that matters, sitting in its chair says, oh, I remember what it was like to be in love. Part of it is you're not actually feeling the joy of loving. You're feeling a lot of the sadness, but not the joy. If you don't express joy, she won't come to you, right? Beautiful, that's it. Beautiful, bravo. Oh, that's quite a shock, isn't it? The timpani who comes in there, because that's reality comes back in, and we're going to go back into the horror. Beautiful work. That was really great. And there's more there for you to do. And look, every time you do one of these things, any one of you, you're doing it for all of us. It's just not you, it's all of us struggling to make the music come alive, be fully expressed for the audience and for the players.
Everyone's got faults, whatever they do, whether it be in conducting, playing, any career. There's always problems that you've got. And what he's been keen to do is really help us break those down and get to a new level, which is, if you think about it, a pretty big task when everyone's got a different thing that's stopping them, something else that's hindering them. And to really, he has achieved that with virtually everyone in the class, which is really quite astonishing.
Benjamin Zander is all about energy and getting to the essence of the music, and what we're learning here is how to just be the music and in his own words, and that's incredibly difficult actually sometimes, particularly because you do have to think about how you translate being the music to your gesture and things like that. So there's a lot of things going on in your mind, but I found that the most successful times for me have been when I've tried to forget all that and just to feel the music instinctively. And I think I've seen the results, and it feels good. He promised us a journey, and that's happened. We've gone on that journey.
What is the music about? That question. If you can't answer that question at any moment in a piece you're working on, what is it about? What is it saying? What is the gesture? Then you're going to be just conducting. And it's not going to make any impact on anybody, neither on the players nor on the audience. So let's find out what's really happening here. Even that. First of all, you've got winds and brasses on one side and the low brass percussion and the strings on the other. Yampra, bumpra, bumpra, bumpra. The violence of going from the top of the instruments and the brasses, including the trumpets, and the strings, is a physical, it's a geography issue. You've got that is there and this is here. It's high and it's low. It's winds and it's strings. And it's a battle. Right? It's timpra, bumpra, timpra, bumpra. Can you get that into your body so we feel the battle? Even just the first two bars are a battle of dum-pa-dum, bum-pa-dum. Then you get da-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. Then you get tupa-tipa-tipa. Right? That's a huge amount of battling going on. That's almost like Stravinsky. It's like Rite of Spring. And in fact, I mean, maybe that isn't so far-fetched. Stravinsky was a Russian too, you know. That kind of violent rhythmical thing is deeply Russian in its idea. I'll do once again from there. We were doing it in the Eroica yesterday with the same idea. You're doing it up here. If you get it closer to your body, partly because near your body is more power, which is why very good boxers box like this and pong like that. You know, the early Muhammad Ali, he would just go pong like that, and this poor guy would collapse in a heap. Later on in his life, he would do more like this. You know, it was a little bit wilder. But in the early days, all it took was that. These gestures are very, very powerful and cause string players to play near the bridge and also near the frog. Because if you go yum-pa-dum, they'll think you mean out here, but the power lies here for a string player. Like that. So get as close to your body as you can and think of it as a punch. Gesture perfect. Now you don't have the geography of up high instruments, low instruments. Bim-pra, boom-pra, bim-pra, boom. So that there's a real distance in your gestures. The first part you've got great. Dim-pra, bum-pra, bim-pra, bum-pra. Now, deepa, pumpa, pipa, pumpa. You really want to give all of it? Oh, absolutely. Yeah, not necessarily by beating it, but by feeling. You want them to feel, because what you're trying to do is to get them to feel the power of that rhythmic conflict, not just to play the piano or the instruments. Yeah, good. It's exhausting, so it should be. There's a wonderful story of Bruno Walter. No, it was Hans von Bülow, who conducted the Beethoven Ninth. And he was lying exhausted on the bench. And the baritone came to him and said, Maestro, Maestro, you're exhausted. And he leant up on his elbow and he said, Du nichtswürdiger Lump, you worthless lump, that you're also not lying exhausted on the bed. Because he'd sung the Beethoven Ninth. So the way Hans von Bülow saw it, you should be exhausted. Right, music doesn't get any more powerful than this. It's like the battle of wills. Because this is the fate motive, timpra, timpra. And incidentally, very tricky to get an orchestra to keep that rhythm going. Because you know what happens? Are you aware of what happens with this rhythm? It gets into dum-pa-dum, bum-pa-dum, bum-pa-dum, bum-pa-dum. That's an easy rhythm to do. Dum-pa-dum, bum-pa-dum, bum-pa-dum, yum-prum, bum-prum, bum-prum, bum. It's a 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, 1. Which other piece has that same? Beethoven 7, first movement, right? Very hard, because and it's so ecstatic when it's played that way, and the other way it just gets so dim-pa-dum, bum-pa-dum, 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 and it's not ecstatic at all. You have to constantly remind people to get back to that, because given half a chance, they'll fall into that easy two rhythm, dum-pa-dum, bum-pa-dum, instead of yum-pum-pum-pum-pum. And the more energy you use in your body, the clearer they'll be that that's the rhythm. was great. That was really exciting. You were feeling really terrific energy there. Now, when you get out of that rhythm in the next bar at E, then you have to launch the phrase. It becomes a two-bar phrase. Right? So you've got to change the whole character. So from going deeper, 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 it goes yem, bum, 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 bum. Huge launching of a phrase. After the tipa, 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 the whole thing is building. Tita to 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 ti. Tita to 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 ti. Tida da 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 da, tida da 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 da, tida da 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 di da 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 ti da ti rum. That's the destination. That's the next destination. So everything you do with your hands, with your arms, with your eyes, with your body has to suggest that you're building from here 2 bars plus 2 bars and then all the way to there. All right. Good, that was great. Do it again. Can I just say a word about that deeper, 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 because you're already thinking of the next phrase. You're not really getting. That's actually that's sort of kind of the dance sacral moment in the first movement of Tchaikovsky. It's where it just comes almost a don't even think about what's coming next. Really get deeply involved. And just before it happens, stay out of it and launch it. Right? Now, good. You're great, except you forgot to launch the next phrase. But it was brilliant up till then. Brilliant. We got it. And look at the power that you're getting even out of these 2 miserable instruments. Imagine what power you get out of a whole orchestra. Even more. It's so powerful. Start too high, there's nowhere to go. So starting after deeper, 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 if you start dee da da da, but you think dee 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 da 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 dee da da, ye da da dee da da dum ba, and the third one is bigger. If you start too much, it's not going to be able to build. Do right from there after deeper, deeper, deeper. One of the things Tchaikovsky does is he plays something very intensely and then he plays it more and more and he turns the screws until it's unbearable. And this is one of those examples. So you've got the violins going ya-la-la, ta-da-ya-da-da-da, ta-ya-la-da-da-da-da-da, ta-yam-ba-da, ta-da-da-da-da, dee-da-da-da-da-da, dee-da-da, dee-dee-dee, like that, as if you can't bear it. You see, but you have to know where you're going. Should we try once more the same thing?